Hi everyone, Melissa Miller here with Melissa's Motifs. We're going to be grouting our mosaic today, and grouting is probably my least favorite process of this craft. But it has to be done in order to give the mosaic that picassiette mosaic look. I don't really have a preference to the type of grout that I use, just so long as it is unsanded. Okay, I'm going to darken this a little bit because with the pale shards, I'm afraid if I use this light colored grout, the shards won't show up as well. Now, grout is a very dense substance, so it takes a lot of paint to color it. And this is just folk art paint that you can get anywhere. So I'm going to use about, not quite a fourth a cup, and put it in here. I've got in this bowl a cup and a half of grout, and I'm going to try to show you. It's hard for me to give you the exact measurements because conditions vary from grout to grout and place to place. So I'm going to start with just a tiny bit. This is less than a fourth of a cup. And stir. Try and get all the lumps out. So I'm going to go in here with another quarter of a cup. Or just under a quarter of a cup. The most important thing is not to get your grout too watery. It should have the consistency of brownie dough. Okay, I'm not liking this color of brown very much, so I'm going to add some yellow to it to see if I can get it a little bit more golden brown. Your grout will be 2 shades lighter when it's dried and on your mosaic, so keep that in mind if you're coloring it. Scrape up from the bottom, of course. This is a little bit thinner than I like it, but I think it'll do. If a fork stands up in it, you're good to go. And it'll thicken up a little bit during the slaking process, which is the process where you let it sit. I could add a little bit more grout to this to make it thicker, but I don't think I'm going to do that today. I think that this will be fine. Okay, now once it's all mixed up, we've got to let it sit for 5 minutes. And the technical term for that is slake. Okay, I'm going to snap a picture of my piece so that if I feel like I'm missing something when I'm rubbing off the grout, I can look at that picture and see if there's something that needs to be excavated. Okay, 5 minutes are up. Now, really with a mosaic, a picassiette mosaic, I should pour grout over this whole thing, including the flowers, to make it really look authentic and give it that grotto type look. However, I'm going to cheat a little bit and go around them a little bit. And you can do this. This is like the pasting video. You can grout a little bit and then wipe it off, or you can grout the whole thing. With a piece this small, I'm going to go ahead and do it all. You have about 1 hour once you've put this grout down to get it cleared off. It dries very fast. Take care to get the grout along the edges too, to give it a more professional finish. Okay, so I'm going to push it in here with my gloves on. You never want to handle this stuff without gloves. It is extremely caustic and will dry your hands out very badly. I do want to get in there, that little space right there. And there's another little space over here. And a little space right there. I think that's pretty good. Okay, then I'm going to spread it around, and while I do that, I'm going to be smushing it in so that it gets into all of the crevices and along the sides. And then once that's done, I'm going to take my gloves off and start wiping it off. And I use Viva paper towels for this. No other brand will do. I am very wasteful with my paper towels. And I know you'll hate to see your pretty mosaic all covered up with this awful brown stuff, but it won't be too long and you'll see the beauty of it. Okay, I'm going to pull this up off of here now. Clean off the edges. Some people prefer to use a craft stick to remove their grout. They go like this. A lot of women in my classes did it this way. And they did a good job. Their mosaics turned out very nice, but I do not have the patience for that. It's a very damp day here, which is perfect for grouting. But if the grout does start drying out kind of fast, you can spray it a little bit. Keeping in mind that you don't want to add too much water to the grout, because too much water to the grout is what causes cracking in the grout line, which is bad. Once I've worked with the paper towels for a while, I'm going to start using my cut up washcloths. I buy these by the dozen at Walmart. They're cheap, and I throw them away after use. You don't ever want to put any grout covered cloths in your laundry because that grout is really bad for your pipes. Now, I'd like to point out something here. The mastic that I used to glue these pieces down is off-white. And I use so much mastic that little parts of it are creeping up through my mosaic here. This always happens. And for this reason, you might want to think about your colors in advance. You can color your mastic a little bit so that it blends with the whatever color grout you're using. Gonna start brushing it off now. You can use a brush. I don't have one out here because I don't use those very often. I always end up making more of a mess. And I continue lifting up my background here so that it's not so messy. Okay, I'm getting close. I'm gonna go in here now and open up those holes for the hanging ribbon. And I'm going to go in here, try and get some of that out. I see a lot of artists who have a pail of water that they use to rinse out their cloths to continue wiping the grout off. But to me, I just don't like the messiness of that. And when you rinse it off in grouty water, your cloths don't end up being very clean. Now, because this is MDF wood, I don't have to worry about it grouting. If this were any other kind of wood and it weren't sealed, it could warp, and that is a disaster for a mosaic. It ruins the whole piece. And by the way, to seal your wood surfaces, all you have to do is use a mixture of wood glue and water and just paint it on there. Try to get as much grout off of your piece as possible while it's still wet, because as you can imagine, once it dries, it is very hard to remove. But that will happen, and I'll show you how to deal with that situation when I do my finishing video. I don't like this part here. It looks sloppy, so I think I'm gonna put a little bit more grout in there. And you don't have to be a perfectionist with this. Think of it as a grotto. You know, when you look at grottos, have a kind of a not sloppy, but a more rough hewn look to them. That's what this is supposed to be. And I looked at my cell phone picture and noticed that I have this little crystal here. I think I mentioned in my cutting or pasting video that this is the first mosaic that I've made in over 2 years because of my illness. And it will be the last, I'm afraid. That's why I switched over to decoupage mosaics, and I'll be posting some more videos about those as time goes along. I'm going to let this set for a while and then come back at it. I want to mention that if you follow the link to my website, my Mosaic Lifestyle book, step-by-step instruction booklet that you can download, I have removed the PayPal button from it and am now offering it for free. Now that I've retired, I really want to make sure that as many people as possible get to know this craft, because it's just such an enjoyable and therapeutic craft. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back shortly to finish up this mosaic.